What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the weekly Q&A. For our first question, Oscar Escada asks why we think the Emperor didn't care much about catching Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, so at the end of the series, he's talking to Vader, and Vader's, going on about how I'm going to burn the galaxy down, we're going to find Kenobi, blah, blah, blah. And Palpatine's basically like, chill out. I think your feelings are clouded on this. So why did he feel that way? I'm going to steal the answer straight from ForceCenter podcast because I like the way they talk about it. We brought this up on our live stream, and I really liked their answer. Ken and Joseph are just super smart when it comes to stuff like this. But basically, even though Palpatine surely would have enjoyed capturing and killing Obi-Wan in
Done
that
it with
scene,
a smile on his face.
Yeah, absolutely. In that scene, he was way more concerned with his apprentice and feeling like Vader was getting all up in his feelings, and the Sith don't like that.
Vader was getting in touch with his inner feels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this is a classic Sith. Like, he's like run by fear and anger, and yeah, fear that Obi-Wan might actually get through to Vader.
Yeah, I think so.
And he's like, no, my project. I spent so long on you. Like, we can't mess this up now.
Yeah, it's been like 20 years. I cannot let this fall apart.
It's such a power move for Palpatine to say the stuff that he does to Vader, basically like demanding that he reassure him of his allegiance. And, when he makes him kneel down on one knee, like, it's all about...
Well, he doesn't do that in the series. But
No. But, like, I'm just thinking in general...
Oh, just...
The relationship between Palpatine and Vader, it's all about power. And the Sith are so predictable.
Yeah. So the way that Ken and Joseph talk about it, and we see this in the series as well, when Vader is fighting Obi-Wan and he says, like, your strength is returned, but the weakness is still there. And the weakness they're talking about is, like, just caring about other people, about really anything. Mm-hmm. And the Sith, the dark side, they don't want you to care. I mean, kill the past, or let the past die, kill it if you have to, is a very, even though Kylo Ren's not a Sith, like, that is a dark side Sith thing. And people still like to throw that around as if that's the theme of The Last Jedi, and it's not. Kylo is wrong. Mm-hmm. It's a cool quote, but it is wrong. And so I think Palpatine sees how much Vader cares about catching Obi-Wan, and by the end of the scene, after Palpatine talks to him, Vader is back to Kenobi means nothing. Mm-hmm. Like, nope, I'm not going to go down that road, because, yeah, if he goes down that road, he might he's going to feel things. He's going to remember Anakin, and might remember that he's not actually dead. Vader didn't kill Anakin. He's still in there. Mm-hmm. And Palpatine doesn't want that.
Yeah, and there's so many instances that, if Vader were to find out about Reva and her story arc, and, like, find out that she is back to the good side, and, the more instances that Vader sees of those kinds of things happening, it's possible that he could be like, you know what, I still have time to change my mind about this. But another instance of this is like when in Revenge of the Sith, when Palpatine says, it seems in your anger you killed her, talking about Padme, and like the smile that creeps up on his face, it's the way that Palpatine is like making Vader feel responsible for these things and like controlling him and keeping him angry.
And part of the thing that Palpatine did to secure Anakin was, to quote The Rise of Skywalker, he made him feel like he was alone. He removed Padme. He removed Obi-Wan. So now it's just them. And someone pointed out, I think on Twitter, great observation. Don't know if it was on purpose, but it worked out awesome. That at the end of The Phantom Menace, you have Anakin at Qui-Gon's funeral, and then Obi-Wan, and then Padme, and then Palpatine. Mm-hmm. So it's like these are the two people in his way to getting to Anakin. And he wants Anakin to feel like he's alone. And if he's chasing after Obi-Wan, even if he wants to kill Obi-Wan, it's like that's a bad thing. And he says the line like, I wonder if you're feelings on this matter are clear. He says the same thing about Luke in Return of the Jedi. He just doesn't want Vader to care about people. Like, that's what the Sith do. That's what the bad guys do, is they don't want you to care. Because caring about everything is hard. Caring about it all the time is difficult. And it's easier. It's the dark side route to just selfishly not care.
Yeah, and Palpatine is just so good at it, too. And he's been, like you said, doing it for Anakin's entire life. You know, when he's a little bit older, we see in episodes 2 and 3, Palpatine's always just like chatting with him one-on-one, planting these little seeds in his head about how the other Jedi don't trust him, and just it's a slow burn.
Yeah, even though he's part of this giant community of Jedi and people like him, Palpatine wants him to be like, nope, you're alone over there. They don't get you.
Mr. J.D. Rice wants to know why Obi-Wan seemingly forgot about Leia when he claimed Luke was their last hope in The Empire Strikes Back.
Well, we always have to start with the whole, like, you know, we didn't know Leia was the other hope at that point in time in Empire. So now we're just looking at that scene and we're going to try to rationalize it, recontextualize it with new information. I think that it was just the fact that Obi-Wan was all in on Luke as the chosen one. We see that in Star Wars Rebels. He tells Maul, Luke is the chosen one. He will restore balance. I wonder, now we know Obi-Wan met Leia and he saw kind of her future, not literally, but he saw who she was and was like, you're going to make a great leader one day. I think that maybe in his mind, he knew Luke was the one to bring Vader back and that Leia couldn't. Yeah. Although that's, I say that and I'm like, Obi-Wan wasn't hoping Luke would bring Vader back. He was hoping he would kill him. So that is...
Yeah, I did rewatch the scene in Return of the Jedi when they're kind of like sitting there and Luke's talking to Force Ghost Obi-Wan. It is kind of weird how just like matter of fact Obi-Wan is at that point in time. But yeah, I think what we see, the relationship between Obi-Wan and Leia, like you said, he sees that she'll be a great leader. And, you know, there was a couple lines where it's like there are more ways to lead. And so at that point, I think maybe Obi-Wan saw what Leia was doing in the Imperial Senate and with the rebellion and everything. And he might have just been like, she doesn't need this. She doesn't need this part of what's going on, this family trauma.
Yeah.
This is Luke's destiny.
Maybe he just didn't want Leia to go through that.
Yeah.
He's like, no, let her be. But it also could be like, we know Yoda wanted to train Leia, so it could just be them. We could rationalize it as them kind of jabbing each other, of Obi-Wan being like, that boy is our last hope. And Yoda's like, no, the one I wanted to train is still out there, idiot. Like,
yeah. And then Obi-Wan's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. It could just be a difference of opinion. Him not mentioning Leia, him fully believing that Luke is the last hope, doesn't mean he forgot Leia. It just means he is all in on Luke. Mm-hmm. Whereas Yoda is like, calm down.
It's almost like, I don't want to think less of Obi-Wan, but it's almost like a dad who has a son and a daughter. Like, the dad's going to want the son to, like, get the best job so that he can provide. And he just wants his daughter to be his daughter.
I kind of see what you're saying. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to put Obi-Wan in that camp.
Like, I mean, it was the 70s back then, so it's like, yes, the brother in this family needs to be the one to do this. It's his destiny. Leia's doing great. We all love Leia. Luke has to do this. But it's nice to see Obi-Wan's reaction when he sees the two of them together making this happen. And then he's, you know, deep down he realizes, like, they need each other to do this. It can't be one or the other. And
the way that I like that. But the way that you bring it up of kind of just talking about, you know, Obi-Wan could be just flawed in his views in that point. And it's true. He is flawed. Even though he is dead and one with the Force, he and Yoda, I mean, that's kind of the point of Return of the Jedi a bit. they are flawed, and they're telling Luke like the only way to save the galaxy is for you to kill your dad.
Yeah.
And that's not what saves Darth Vader. It is compassion. So I do think that they were just like, you know, Obi-Wan's like, I couldn't get through to Vader, so certainly Luke's not going to. It's probably just a matter of flawed thinking.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan has that line where he's like, he's more machine than man now. Like, he is totally given up on him. He's like, this guy's gotta go.
It's funny that, like, this is just a line that was meant to be dropped in as, you know, a little like, ooh, who's this other one? It was just meant to be a dramatic thing. And now here we are 42 years later talking about what it means now.
Making it work. Making it
Trying to.
Will asks if we could see an Inquisitor in the Bad Batch.
I like that idea. I think we definitely could.
Yeah.
Because we know, Will points out that, you know, Gungi is in it. We might see the other younglings. So there are Jedi out there at this point in time that need to be hunted down. We know that there is a time jump. So I think part of the big transition from the Republic into the Empire is the Inquisitors and how the Empire now deals with Force users. So I think it's very appropriate to see an Inquisitor in Season 2.
This would be a great place to have the fourth sister come in.
To do something?
To do something. Because we saw the fifth brother in Rebels, right? And we've seen plenty of the Grand Inquisitor. So yeah, this would be a great opportunity to get her in there.
I do think, in my opinion, Grand Inquisitor seems like the most likely candidate because he was such a big part of Rebels as well.
Only if Rupert Friend comes back to do the voice.
I think they would keep Jason Isaacs if he were to do that.
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying because I really liked Rupert Friend's portrayal too, but I think that we should keep a precedent of, like, you know, animation has the people who made those characters who they were in the first place, and then, you know, we do some recasting for live action, but as long as they offered it to Jason Isaacs first, if he was like, I'm good, let Rupert do it, then that's fine.
I'm all in on Rupert Friend's Grand Inquisitor now.
I really, really like it too. But I also like what Jason Isaacs did, so.
Jack Grinnan wants to know how much we want to see Anakin's Force Ghost in the Ahsoka series.
So we don't know for sure that we're going to get a Force Ghost of Anakin. It seems likely, but it could be flashbacks. It could be any number of things. But I do think Force Ghost conversation sounds great. I don't think I want them to overdo it. I think an episode between him and Ahsoka would be cool. I don't necessarily need to see them talking every episode.
Yeah, I think I do really want to see this happen, obviously. And I think it would make for an incredible emotional roller coaster of an episode. We could also get just like flashbacks of them from the Clone Wars, which would be great too. But something about the episode of Book of Boba Fett when we see Ahsoka and Luke is training Grogu, and she has that line like, you have so much of your father in you, or something. So
much like your father, yeah. Something like that.
Something along those lines. Just the look on her face makes me think that she's had a conversation with Anakin at that point, and like she's made peace with everything at that point in her life.
I can see that because it does. Her temperament in that episode feels a lot lighter than it did in The Mandalorian Season 2, where she seemed a little more, you know, fearful of training Grogu, at least herself. And like, I've seen it happen to the best of us. So maybe the Ahsoka series takes place in between that. Maybe the Ahsoka series is going to be kind of like Andor Season 2, it sounds like, where it's going to cover 5 years from the end of Season 1 all the way to Rogue One. So maybe like one episode is about how she got off Malachor, and one episode is about how she met with Anakin's Force Ghost and they found peace, and like we could kind of play a lot of catch up. Yeah.
Michael Ennis asks what lessons we want Rogue Squadron to take from Top Gun, if any.
So yeah, we did see Top Gun a week or two ago at this point, and really liked it. I think the lessons, I think that Rogue One or Rogue Squadron, I think that the lessons it should take is let's not do another trench run.
Yeah, we've seen it enough.
We got A New Hope. We had The Force Awakens. Top Gun did it very well. But I think that especially after Top Gun did it, it's like find a different climactic battle.
Yeah. Well, also, like, there was something about the new Top Gun movie which, like, it just felt like a win overall. Like, everybody got a win in that movie, except for, like, the bad guys, which we still don't know who they were.
Yeah.
They never said who they were. The Russians, I don't know. But nobody died. Nobody had, like, except for the person that we all kind of figured would. But yeah, maybe no one would tragically die suddenly in the movie, and then everyone can kind of make it out okay. Also, it wouldn't hurt to put a sweaty beach montage in a Star Wars
Bunch
movie.
of aliens, yeah.
I wouldn't mind that.
Put them all in jorts. They're playing volleyball. Yeah, that's the lesson Star Wars should take from Top Gun. More beach montages. Well, it's a fighter pilot movie, and Star Wars dogfighting is different from Top Gun. Totally agree. Like, it was a very tense final battle, but I was really relieved that no one died in it. But there were also only 4 planes, really. 5, I guess, at the last second. There weren't that many ships flying around. In a Star Wars dogfight, they're everywhere, and it's like you're gonna lose pilots.
Ooh, okay.
But I see what you're saying, kind of like maybe our main characters.
I have the perfect plan, an idea for this. They have to get into an old ship and make it work.
See, I mean,
do like a Z-95 or something clunky.
It's got to be a Y-wing.
It's got.
That's what we were saying when we were breaking down. We're probably going to do a video when Top Gun is out for the public. But yeah, when they had to get into the F-14, I think, and we were like, this is such a Star Wars movie in so many ways. Not just the trench run, but thematically, it felt very Star Wars, overcoming your fears, facing your past and your guilt and all that. But we were like, when they get back onto the ground and they have to get the clunker, I was like, if this was Star Wars, that would be a Y-Wing. And they'd be like, oh no, we're dead.
Yeah.
That's the ship you have to escape in.
It's got to be some kind of hunk of junk.
I do like that, though. And that's something, because we still don't know when Rogue Squadron will take place.
When or if it's
right,
even happening.
If it happens. But if it takes place, like, post The Rise of Skywalker, then you have that chance to go way back, and it could be a Clone Wars era Y-Wing or a V-Wing, or just, I don't know, something weird. Yeah. That'd be really neat. I was going to say, though, that I think the biggest takeaway from Top Gun that I had was just the way they filmed it. It felt so real, because, you know, they were putting pilots in fighter jets and flying them around, or the actors, I should say. And, you know, Miles Teller hits his head on the cockpit, and you notice that, you feel it. I don't think they're going to do that in Star Wars, because I guess they'd have to build a whole, like, actual X-Wing cockpit and, like, attach it to a fighter jet and fly it around. They're not going to do that.
Also, they'd have to get Tom Cruise somehow.
So I think if they could find a way to simulate that in the volume, you know, have a cockpit that, like, really turns and banks and stuff.
They did kind of do that for, was it Solo or Force Awakens?
Well, I was going to point out there's a moment in Force Awakens when Poe does his trench run and then he turns sideways, and you can see, like, the straps and things that are hanging behind him in the cockpit. They all turn with gravity. So I think they've probably done something like this before, but I mean, if they can find a way to really, really amp it up and make it feel as visceral as Top Gun did, that'd be great.
I think they can do it.
I believe.
Make a real X-Wing. It's fine. It can't be that expensive.
Yeah, I think
put it up in space.
Top Gun showed us that realism is the best, so just build an X-Wing, throw it up there, and start filming.
On to YouTube questions. Stuart Lugsden wants to know if the path still existed by the time of the original trilogy.
I would like to think so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, because like they're all like, "Oh, you're our only hope, Luke."
Well, yeah. I mean, we already spent like 10 minutes talking about that line. Let's not go back there.
Do you think there's still Jedi involved in the path, or is it just like people helping people?
At this point, it's like there have been so many. In my head initially, I was just thinking people helping people, but we've met so very many Jedi that were still alive at this point that it wouldn't really surprise me. If Quinlan Vos is still running around, then sure. Like, maybe he's not a Jedi. He was always a bit of a maverick anyway, so, we could get technically around that line of Yoda's by saying Quinlan Vos wasn't operating as a Jedi Knight. He was a Force-sensitive person helping Force-sensitive kids. Mm-hmm. But even that out of the way, George Lucas, when he was throwing around ideas for his sequel trilogy, he was thinking that Luke would go around and find more survivors of Order 66. So that was never really a line that he was super committed to. It's dramatic in the moment. It is like, this is the one hope that we have, Luke Skywalker, so don't mess this up.
Yeah. And I guess now I'm thinking about all the stuff that happens in Rogue One, and like, it feels like a place like Jeddah and characters like the Guardians of the Whills feels like they would be involved in something like the Path. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think that there's potential for that in a place like that. And the rebellion is still in its pretty early stages. But there's still a ton of people involved. And the scene with like Radis and Bail and everybody kind of meeting together, I bet some of those people are involved in something like the Path.
Sure. I mean, Bail, I think, makes sense. But yeah, I think that it could tie into the rebellion very easily. But really, in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, during the original trilogy, I think there are still people out there helping the Force-sensitive kids who need it, who need to stay hidden from the Empire.
What do you think they did when they found out about Luke?
That they just missed him?
Taking out the Death Star. Like, he's just out there flying around doing all this.
Where'd he come from? Whose safe house did he pass through? Who let him get through?
Yeah. Oh, he had a personal escort by Obi-Wan? Great.
Yeah.
Jedi Spartan 38 asks when Obi-Wan would have told Luke and Leia about their heritage if he had survived A New Hope. That's a good question.
Yeah. I feel like that's a conversation that would have happened pretty soon.
Yeah, it would have been hard for him to keep that a secret had he still been with them.
And I just don't think he would have. And there's a question of, why did he wait 3 years to contact Luke again just to be like, go to Dagobah, and then again not offer up much information. Force ghosts only really seem to pop up when you have something you absolutely have to know. And I guess Force Ghost Obi-Wan, the Force itself was telling him that, Luke's on a need-to-know basis, and he doesn't need to know. And so he shows up on Hoth, and he's like, all you need to know right now is to go to Dagobah. And then he's disappeared, and he's like, I nailed it. And then he sees Luke and Leia kiss.
That's
and
what
he's
I was going to say.
Oh, no.
I was like, what if Obi-Wan were in the room when Luke and Leia kiss? And he's like, wait,
Yeah.
I gotta do this now.
He just appears like, stop.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been awkward.
In my headcanon, for a thing that will never get answered, I think he would have told them. Probably after the Death Star was destroyed. He's like, let's survive all of this, and then, if there's time, we'll get into who your dad is, who you are to each other.
Leia is so good at reading people, even at such a young age, too. I bet Obi-Wan couldn't have hidden it off of his face, like seeing the two of them work together, where he'd just be like,
yeah. Oh. She's like, why are you looking at us like that?
Yeah. So she would probably figure it out. Blink wants to know which helmet removal is our favorite in Star Wars.
The first one that popped up into my head was Din taking his helmet off in the second to last episode for The Mandalorian. Just because that one was unexpected. I was kind of just in the back of my head being like, all right, he's going to take his helmet off again in the season finale, not knowing what was going to happen. but just thinking that felt like a good progression, that he would do it willingly. It wasn't a droid taking his helmet off so he could heal him. But I really liked out of the blue, in the midst of that very intense conversation, that whole episode, when the computer's like, I need to see your face. Mm-hmm. So I just liked all of that, and his kind of panic and the way his eyes were the whole time his helmet was off in that scene. It's such a great episode.
I think mine's gonna be Bo-Katan.
Okay, yeah.
Like, just the excitement of seeing her come in to the show, and in that first episode that she's in, you see the armor and you're like, oh no, it's happening, and then like she takes her helmet off and it's Katie Sackhoff, and it's such a great moment.
That was insanely fun.
And then that makes me think of, you know, when we eventually get to see Sabine. So maybe it's something about just like seeing the animated characters in live action for the first time. Just, yeah, like that's kind of top tier helmet removal for me.
That one was great. I just remember seeing those Mandalorians land on that ship and knowing that armor, just being like, oh my gosh, it's happening. And I mean, I can't, we're doing all Mandalorian stuff, but Cobb Vanth was another one. Not to beat a dead sexy horse, but seeing him remove his helmet and just being like, this is everything to me as a small book character making it onto live action. I was thrilled with so much of The Mandalorian season 2.
Ooh, another one. This wasn't really a full-on removal, but the shot of Luke training Leia, where she just kind of opens the helmet and we see her face.
Both of those, yeah, were really cool. That was one of the best things The Rise of Skywalker did, I think, is just showing that Leia trained as a Jedi. Getting to see them young and together was really neat. That's a good one.
And lastly, Alex Damon asks, what's the deal with Wade? Thanks to Rumble Wagon.
Yeah, so Rumble Wagon said, you need to address Wade. And I've been seeing so many people online since part 4 of Obi-Wan Kenobi just celebrating Wade. And you know I love my background and my minor characters. He's not background. He's an important character in that episode. So I love seeing people celebrate him. I'm also just like, there is so much surrounding Wade online, and I'm like, I don't get it. I feel old. I feel like I'm not keeping up with the youngs. So I'm asking the question, what is the deal with Wade? In the comments, please tell me. Yeah. And I think it is just kind of a meme that his name is Wade, but that he's also a hero and he sacrificed his life to help save Leia.
What Alex really wants to say is, stop trying to make new Biggs work.
We already have a hero pilot, and his name is Biggs. No, I'm all about it. Like, I love seeing people celebrating this character. I just don't get it.
I don't think I get it either. I maybe I haven't seen as much of the Wade. What would you call the Wade fans?
Oh,
the Wados.
The Wade wave.
The Wade wave. The Wadey Beatties. I don't know. I haven't seen them out there, but I'm gonna go look for them now.
I've seen them a lot, and I think that it is, I mean, a lot of love for these side characters. It does start out as kind of a joke, and so when he gets hit by that box and dies, Sully, the other pilot, just shouts, Wade! And I think that was the first time we heard his name, and so I think people are just like, wait, his name is Wade?
Wade?
I guess that's what... See, I'm just guessing. I'm trying to keep up with all the youngsters.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, we're in our mid-30s for Star Wars fans now. So I think we're leaving like the target demographic, and sometimes...
we're desperately clinging to it.
Uh-huh. I'm going to cling to life like a Darksider. I will not let this go. Mm-hmm. And we will destroy ourselves trying to figure out who Wade is and or not who he is, but why everyone loves him.
He was probably the guy that like always brought donuts to the break room and like always had really great, meaningful compliments for everyone. You're just like, man, he's the coolest.
We love Wade.
the Wade Parade.
Okay, that's the one. That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.